Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something we all do, but let's be honest, few of us really get it. We're talking about sleep. We're going to dive into why it's not some luxury, but an absolute necessity, and I'll walk you through how you can start getting more of it starting tonight. So let's just start with a kind of a wild idea. What if the key to being sharper, stronger, and yeah, happier isn't about hustling more, but about doing less? What if the most powerful thing you could possibly do for your health is to just do nothing at all? Okay, let's get into this because so many of us are smack in the middle of a serious sleep crisis, and we might not even realize just how deep it goes. I mean, this is the question, right? It's the one so many of us ask ourselves every single morning when that alarm clock goes off. If you feel like you are constantly running on empty, believe me, you are definitely not alone. The scale of this thing is just staggering. We're talking about 70 million Americans dealing with chronic sleep issues. Now, this isn't just a few people feeling a bit tired. This is practically an epidemic of exhaustion. So how did we even get here? Well, a little over a century ago, getting 9 hours of sleep was just normal. Today, most of us are getting less than 7. Think about that for a second. We've systematically just erased more than 2 full hours of essential rest from our nightly routine. So, what are we really losing in those 2 hours? To understand that, we need to bust the biggest myth out there about what your brain is actually doing after you turn out the lights. You know, the old myth was that your brain just powers down for the night. But the fact is, it's one of the busiest times for your mind. Sleep is not an off switch. It's when your brain's maintenance crew clocks in for the night shift. And this super important work happens in these really distinct stages. First, your body just winds down into a light sleep. Then, it gets into the deep repair stage. That's for physical restoration. And finally, you hit REM sleep. Think of this as your brain's night shift. Organizing memories, filing everything away, and solidifying everything you learned during the day. Now, when you get enough of all those stages, the results they're incredible. This isn't just about feeling less tired. It's about unlocking a set of genuine superpowers. First up, a supercharged memory. That REM sleep stage we just talked about, that's where your brain solidifies new pathways for learning. This is literally why sleeping on it is real advice. Your brain is rehearsing and cementing what you learned while you're totally unconscious. Next, a stronger heart. During that deep sleep, your heart rate and blood pressure drop, giving your entire cardiovascular system a much-needed break from all the stress of the day. A better mood is another huge one. Chronic sleep loss is directly linked to irritability and a much higher risk of depression. Good sleep is absolutely fundamental to good mental health. And finally, a stronger immune system. While you're sleeping, your body produces these tiny proteins that act like your own personal security guards, fighting off infection and inflammation. You are literally building up your body's defenses for the next day. And look, this isn't just some abstract science. When you lose sleep, you lose those benefits. For people like Jim, recognizing the signs of a sleep disorder, like loud snoring and these pauses in breathing, that was the first step toward treating his sleep apnea and finally reclaiming his health. So, if sleep is a superpower, then what's our kryptonite? Let's expose the common enemies that are totally sabotaging our rest. Okay, be on the lookout for these 4 villains. Caffeine and nicotine are stimulants, right? They keep you from falling into that deep sleep. Alcohol, well, it might make you feel drowsy at first, but it totally fragments your sleep later in the night. And a big meal right before bed, that can cause indigestion that keeps you tossing and turning. And the effects of these things last way longer than you think. You know that coffee you had at 3 p.m.? Its stimulating effects can still be buzzing through your system when you're trying to go to bed at 11 p.m. It's crazy. All right, now that we've identified the enemies, it's time to fight back. Let's build your personal toolkit for getting better, more restorative sleep, and we can start tonight. Here are 3 simple but really powerful habits. First, consistency is king. Keep a regular schedule. Second, create a wind-down ritual to signal to your brain that it's time to switch off. And third, optimize your environment. Treat your bedroom like a cave that's designed for one thing and one thing only: sleep. So what about those nights when you just can't fall asleep? Lying there worrying about it is the worst thing you can do. Instead, try the 20-minute rule. If you're still awake after 20 minutes, get up. This simple trick helps break that anxiety cycle and retrains your brain to see your bed as a place for rest, not stress. The biggest takeaway here is this: stop thinking of sleep as lost time. It's your nightly training session, an active investment in your mind and body. The only question left is, what superpower will you unlock tonight?